Welcome to the Meltzone Podcast. Today on October the 3rd, 2019. My name is Stefan, and today I have some really special guests with me. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. Good, thanks. Yeah.
Great having you here.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks for having us.
It's actually a real great opportunity that we are, currently in the UK in Northampton, kind of visiting a, how's it called? Member talent venue, something like that.
Nobody wants to call it talent, whatever. So,
Influencer meeting? Do you know that's? Do you think that's better?
Untalented influencer meeting.
Well, I think we're not too untalented. But maybe before we get into that, just maybe introduce yourself a little, because I probably think that most of you, most of the listeners and the viewers know you guys, but...
Well, I'm Ivan Miranda. I make 3D printed contraptions on the internet, mostly red, and usually tend to be bigger than the previous one. So,
yeah. You actually have your own filament brand.
Yeah, I use a Printapro's Miranda mend, a red PLA that made especially for me in really huge spools, because my prints take 6 days. Prints are normal for me. So yeah, I need huge spools.
What are the spool sizes that you usually use?
Yeah, I use 4 kilogram spools.
4 kilogram spools.
Yeah.
So you need special contraptions to put them onto even.
I manufacture for myself special spool holders that are just huge triangles with a spindle with bearings.
Okay.
And then I use zip ties that rub on the sides of the spool so it doesn't spool instantly. And yeah, pretty heavy.
Cool. Yeah. We have some really 10 kilogram spools of filament at work in our big professional 3D printer, but yeah, those are really heavy beasts compared to the normal 750 gram spools or the 1 kilogram spools.
No, it's insane. When I was shopping filament the other day, I had been working with 1 kilo spools in a smaller printer for a week. So when I went to grab the 4 kilo one, I couldn't even lift it from the ground.
Well, yesterday we were trying to work out how much filament we've used this year, and I reckon I've only just used 4 kilograms.
Yeah,
and you've got a pile of spools.
80 kilos, something like that, 100, something like that, yeah.
So yeah, Ivan on my left side, and...
Hi, I'm Tom Stanton. I make other 3D printed contraptions, usually things that fly or electric bike style things, and I like making trebuchets for launching projectiles, because medieval weapons are allowed on YouTube. So,
for now.
You kind of make 3D printed weapons with tanks, torpedoes, Gatling guns.
Yeah, but I always use a hashtag toy, so I don't get demonetized. So yeah.
And you actually told me that you haven't been demonetized yet for any of your
no weaponry has gotten demonetized yet.
Okay.
Finger crossed.
Yeah, really cool having you here. As I said, we are in the UK. I think Ivan and I are the only creators right here that are not native English speakers.
Yeah, it seems there is no other internet people in the rest of the Europe. Mainland.
Yeah. So yeah, what are we doing right here? It's a creator event. It's organized by, I don't know if you really call it a multi-channel network.
It isn't. It's just a talent management agency.
Yeah. So it's organized by Ziggurat
XYZ.
XYZ.
Yeah.
I don't 100% agree that this is a really good name they have chosen. No, because it just sounds like cigarette.
It's a really bad name. That's why it's good.
Yeah.
Or no? I'm not sure.
But it took me quite a while until I really read that word from the first to the last letter until I realized it's cigarettes.
Because if you don't spell the last 3 letters, it's cigarettes is what?
Yeah. So. Yeah, and we're 20, 30 creators that are joining the event. It's an event that is going on for a good 2.5 days. We have workshops. We do networking. There are some really, really nice people right here that I also had been just knowing before from the internet, the YouTube.
Yeah. You are the guy from
you are.
That happened a lot.
I have seen your face.
Well, it happened too. You are not the guy from, because you would never have seen it because it's not on screen. Yeah.
It's just really nice talking well, to everyone, because everyone is like tackling the same problems and stuff like that. But we also do like really cool other stuff around that. So you had your high-speed camera with you yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
And I got slapped in the face.
Yes, yeah. Are you gonna cut that in over the top?
Yeah. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, I probably cut that like high-speed video in.
Yeah.
So we actually had to do 3 takes in the end, because for the first 2 takes, the guy who was slapping me, or the hand from the guy who was slapping me, was just always in the shot and nobody could see my face. And with the third one, it was kind of okay. And it didn't hurt too bad.
Yeah, I mean, inevitably, when you bring a high-speed camera, someone will get slapped.
Yeah.
It was originally just to film some popcorn on a drum, but Stefan did the honours and took a slap to the face.
Well, it's the first time that I had been working with a high-speed camera, and like the videos you usually see are always of people getting slapped in the face, and it's interesting to see the inertia of my hair, because my head is already moving, my hair is still at the same location, and then it comes. But so you actually own that camera. It's not one of these really expensive Phantom cameras. It's the Chronos version 1.4.
Yeah, Chronos 1.4. Yeah, it's like a budget high-speed camera, similar to a DSLR type price, rather than the really expensive Phantom type things. And it's like really portable. It's all battery powered. You don't need a laptop.
Okay. How long does the battery actually last?
About an hour or 2, depending on how long you film.
Yeah.
But you can only film for 4 seconds. So, it doesn't film for very long.
Okay. Yeah, I think the price is around like $2,000 to $3,000, depending on where you're living. It is, well, not the most cheapest gadget you could buy, but it's still kind of affordable compared to like the really expensive Phantom cameras you find otherwise.
Yes. I mean, with the high-end Phantom cameras, to rent them for a day costs more than that. Just to rent the camera for a day.
Yeah. And it wasn't as loud as like the Phantom cameras I usually see at the slow-mo guys. they sound like a jet engine just starting. Yeah, it's really cool. I also already thought about for a while of like purchasing a new phone that has the capability to do something like 960 frames per second. They're not able to do it as long as yours, because you can record like 4 seconds up to like 40,000 frames a second when you crop all in.
Yes, yeah.
Because sometimes it is a really nice tool to have, and you have been using that for just taking shots of your trebuchet and take a look.
I tried to make an excuse to try and fit a slow-mo in somewhere. Doesn't always make it interesting, but
yeah, you actually need to like prove to your tax accountant that it's that you can deduct.
I need this slow-mo footage.
You need this slow-mo footage. No, it's really nice. It's really nice, and it's nice to see that it has been becoming way more affordable in in the current days. Yeah, perfect, cool. So I guess before we continue, we don't have too much time today, because like the first classes are starting in not even 30 minutes. There has been something on the news which is a little bit saddening again. So like a week or a bit more than a week ago, it was all over the news that the Lego company has been taking down lots of Lego designs on Thingiverse. Which I can understand in a way, if it's called Lego and it's really like just the same shape as their parts, which is connected to their brand. But the things that were usually taken down was nothing like for really commercial use.
No.
People put that on there to do cosplay. I kind of really remember this nice big parrot from one of the like pirate Lego sets and something like that. But they have really properly tried to shut down all of the Lego designs that were on Thingiverse and My Mini Factory. And I don't know what you guys think about that. Is it really necessary? Is it something that Lego should be really afraid that their sales are getting worse or their brand is being abused by people just recreating things that they have been growing up? Because I built my first Legos when I probably was 3 or 4, and it's I think the same for many others.
But I don't think nobody's going to be crazy enough to print an entire Lego set of small Legos. Like, it's going to take forever. And you are going to invest like a lot of filament in the finish of the 3D printed part is not that good.
No.
You will not get the same like clip.
Yeah.
I think that the third thing that I tried to print with a 3D printer ever was a Lego pack. And I did print the second one and things weren't really fitting. Now printers are slightly better, but I don't think nobody's using the printer just to not buy the Lego set. It's just to make a part that is not existing or trying to make something fancy, but it's not to not buy Lego. And I don't think it's the fans that are doing that.
Yeah.
The Lego fans. So I don't think that's that hurting Lego as much as this PR disaster.
I think there had been some court decisions that like the shape of the Lego brick is something that can't be really copyrighted. The like Lego name is something that
that's trademark. But
that's trademark, but just the shape itself and interlocking blocks, that's not something that is really like copyrightable. Yeah, of course, those people had been probably using the name Lego in the title of their like Thingiverse pages. Yeah, okay, but those were usually just compatible parts, and I find it kind of saddening because Lego is a passion for so many people. Because they grew up with it and they started with like a Duplo, then they got to Lego when they were like 3-4 years old, and the danger of swallowing the parts wasn't that high anymore. And as soon as you are 10, you get Lego Technic, and it's great.
It's awesome.
It's helping so many people to just get into like the field of engineering, like creating their own contraptions and designs with Lego. And now they're really trying to shut them down.
I think there is no good in that for anyone, not for Lego, not for the
it's bad reputation for Lego. It's bad for the community because some people created some really nice, just Lego compatible parts. And I don't know. I just searched this morning for Lego on Thingiverse, and there were still like kind of lots of things available. I don't know if something has changed already, or if they have been taken like a step back due to the community response. But it's kind of sad. And the thing is, I don't think that Lego has the intention in the future to create something like 3D printable, downloadable designs, because
you'll never know. But it doesn't sound like them.
Yeah. I know that. I have been on a conference a couple of years ago, and Lego was had a talk there and talked about how they use 3D printing for prototyping, but also for their injection molds, because they have to put out many bricks in a short amount of time. So what they're using 3D printing, metal 3D printing for, is like to print internal cooling channels in the injection molds, so that the cooldown time is way shorter, and they're able to reduce like cycle times for creating really complex Lego bricks to like just a fourth.
Wow,
and that's really cool. It's, as I said, it's kind of sad to hear that. Hopefully they gonna step back a bit. Hopefully they're not really actually starting to put like legal actions on some of the guys who had been doing that, because I think, as I said, nobody was really doing that for any commercial purposes.
Nobody's profiting from that.
Nobody's profiting from that. Yeah, that's saddening. We'll see how it turns out. And maybe we will follow up that on one of the next episodes. So I would call myself like a 3D printing YouTuber, but you guys are more like I would say more engineering type YouTubers that use 3D printing for their projects. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I think we are in the 3D printer as a tool YouTuber thing.
Yeah,
like you are more into, everything about 3D printers. You try to be but I still use CR10s like that are 3 years old, and do minimum maintenance on them, because they have to, if they run, if they print, I will do nothing to them. I don't want to invest the time. So at least for me, and I think for them, it's the same. They are tools.
Yeah,
it's kind of different approach.
I do find it really interesting, the whole 3D printing scene, how it's there wasn't such a community around other manufacturing techniques. Which I'm just like so amazed by that 3D printing is now like a community, isn't it?
But imagine
really
the
interesting.
hammer community, like tuning hammers and
Well,
making
yeah.
the hammer slightly heavier.
But I'm sure
that
there
doesn't
are-
happen. Hammer is a tool. But they're like, I think it's kind of mesmerizing and relaxing, like how a 3D printer works, and you are tuning to see printing, and it's kind of more fascinating than a regular to like drill that only spins.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, that even though I've been printing for so many years, I sometimes still sit in front of my 3D printer and just watch the mesmerizing movement of the print head and the fine layers that are perfectly
still
put
happen
on.
to all of us.
Yeah.
I think what it probably is like with CNC routers, for example, you could just use a bandsaw to cut that out.
Yeah.
Whereas like I guess you could machine a 3D printed part, but to get like some complex shapes, they have to be 3D printed.
But there are things that
It's like a
can
whole
only
new-
be 3D printed.
Yeah.
There is no way, like those channels that Stefan was talking about in the injection molds, there is no way to do them in either way. But they are so intricate that there is no way that you can get a bit or anything in it.
And I think it's the point that 3D printing got so affordable. There had been huge groups around like CNC milling and stuff like that in the past. But like a CNC router is way more expensive, it's way more messy, it's louder and things like this. And 3D printing has been becoming cheap. You get like already a decent 3D printer now for like $200.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. And it's also simple in a way. If you know CAD, or if you just download a design from the internet, you just stick it in your slicer, and if your printer is like network connected, you push a button, it like takes 2 minutes to heat up, and then it's printing.
Yeah.
No real mess, no like nasty smells anymore as in the old times with ABS and things like this. And you get a finished part out of that. It's the ease of use.
Straight from the bed.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, I remember when I got my first printer, and it was small enough to put on my desk next to my laptop, and just having my CAD software and then the printer right next to me working. It was mind-boggling. Like at the time.
What was your first 3D printer that you got?
It was, I think it was called a Cossel Mini Delta
okay.
printer. So like a 200 diameter disc and then 300 high, something like that. It was 150. Yeah.
But that probably was still in the time when like Delta printers were a hell to calibrate.
Yeah, and it was one of the printers where they give you a box full of nuts and bolts and extrusions, and you have to assemble it. It's not like nowadays when you buy like a Creality printer, it comes in 3 parts and half an hour and it's working.
But you know why is that? Apart from the packaging volume, it's because if it is not assembled, they can call it a kit, and then they don't need to pass any CE regulations or anything. It's sold as a kit.
But it's also smaller though when they.
Yeah. But
like when back in the early days of the 3D printers, when you had to spend a whole weekend or more.
My first 3D printer was a Rapman 3.1 from Bits from Bytes. It was a UK company. I think they are gone now. And it was an 18 kilo box full of rods, acrylic sheet, laser cut, and everything. It took me more than a week to assemble it.
Yeah, still probably with like a PC power supply that was used.
Dell power supply.
It was the same for me. Just a couple of straps, just cut away and heat shrunk that you don't get any shorts. 3D printing has been coming quite a far way. But well, we talked yesterday, and well, you have been using a CNC router for like a year, 1.5 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Kind of successfully. You've been using CNC routers in the past, and you're currently building like a new one.
Yeah, I'm remaking the one that I already made, just because I'm going to release the plans so everybody can make one. And I'm just trying to make sure that all the changes that I made to all the parts are still valid for the CNC machine. So I'm rebuilding that, but it's almost exactly the same one as the previous one.
But your intention with that CNC router is really also that it is able to cut aluminum.
The one that I already have does cut aluminum, and there is this thing, like people is already complaining about the rigidity of the machine, which I think is well engineered and it will be rigid enough. But then there is this adaptive milling, which makes the rotor bit remove most of the content that you want to mill, and the last pass, the finishing pass, that has to remove so little material that there is no mechanical stress on the thing, and the finishing is amazing.
Okay.
And Fusion 360 has that feature.
Yeah.
You can just do it on the cam module of the.
That's really nice with Fusion 360. So when I started CNC routing, I think there wasn't Fusion 360 around, so I was doing my CAD. I sometimes exported drawings of that CAD that I had like a vector art, and then put that into another software where I traced things like that. Fusion 360 is great because you do your 3D design, you directly get into CAD.
You get the body into the CAM module and go for it.
It's perfect. The thing I was really curious was if you're doing a project, at what point do you decide, okay, so this might be a part that I CNC route, be it out of wood or be it out of aluminum? Is it when something breaks, or is it already in your like thinking process, okay, this could be a critical part?
I think ideally I would like to CNC most of a project and use just 3D printing to connect sheets together in a sort of way. So how would you connect two sheets at 90 degrees without a 3D printer? Like you'd have
welding.
Aluminium's not too, but and then you use a 3D printing to, if you need to clamp a rod or something, or I feel like just adding the 3D aspect to a flat sheet of some sort, you get the most structural strength, but then you also have the 3 dimensions a bit more available. That's how I like to merge the two.
And if you need heat resistance, like if you are going to give a huge motor that being lots of current through it,
stick it on aluminium.
Stick it on aluminium.
Okay, so like using those parts as a big heat sink.
Yeah.
But CNC routing is just, even though it has been becoming easier, it's still a hassle.
It's messy and noisy.
It's messy, noisy, and it takes more time to prepare. And at least as I remember it, and I haven't been doing CNC routing for the last couple of months, is that finding the perfect settings for that type of material you're currently machining, the proper mill bit that you're using, and things like this.
Go fast and shallow.
Yeah,
that's like the only advice that I can give for any material. Is like go really fast so the bit is not rubbing on the same piece of material over and over and over. And like go shallow so that you don't put too much pressure on the bit.
And the faster the bit will move, the less heating.
Yeah,
because it dissipates the heat round
another part.
Yeah, I think one of the worst things is if your bit starts rubbing on the material, it creates friction, it creates heat, and then
melts, and there is a point of no return.
Yeah.
That is and I use, people don't know this, but most of people don't know this, but you can use IPA alcohol to cool down aluminium while milling it. If you are doing a small part and you are going over it over and over, you can just throw it very carefully IPA alcohol because it's very flammable.
Yeah. Don't ask me why, but I have been titanium machining like a couple of times on my basement, and even though titanium is a really like corrosion resistant material, it is corrosion resistant because just as aluminum, it builds like a protective oxide layer over it really, really quickly. But the thing is, titanium itself is really reactive. It likes to bond with oxygen, and it's, I think, the only material that burns in a pure nitrogen atmosphere. Well, anyways, it's similarly reactive than something like magnesium. And the thing is, machining titanium is hard because it work hardens quite fast. It has a very low thermal conductivity. So if you're machining something, you need to get all of the heat out of the chip. And especially with these not really that rigid machines, this can be a problem at some point. And I machined a part. It was really just a small part. And I used also just like IPA for cooling. And then at some point, the chips got that hot that they started burning, and they burn in like a bright white flame. As for example, magnesium does. And just at some point, my whole CNC router was on fire. And my first CNC router that I built was 100% wood.
Oh,
besides, right.
This is getting better and better.
Did you get this on
video?
I unfortunately ran out of battery just like a minute before that.
The thing is, it's safe to use AP alcohol with aluminium because carbide bits with aluminium don't create sparks.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure with titanium. I wouldn't have gone with alcohol.
I was kind of stupid. It wasn't that bad because it's not like that the wood is already burning, but you have like this big puddle of IPA on your part, and it just starts, and you freak out.
I use one of those spray bottles to spray the leaves of plants.
Yeah.
And I put the IPA alcohol in there and spray it. I don't pour the alcohol in because then if something like what I want is to be very little alcohol in the part, just in case. Fire extinguisher.
Yeah. But otherwise, do you use like liquid cooling for if you're routing your aluminum parts?
Yes, I can't remember what the thing I use. I found it in a machine shop and it was recommended for cutting steel on lathes, so I thought it would be good.
Is it just an oil or is it like an emulsion?
It's like an oil. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's quite thick. I just sort of dab it at certain places, and as the bit runs through it, cools it, I think.
So I had been starting like quite a while ago to buy one of these mist coolers. So they are like driven by compressed air, and just with like a Venturi nozzle, it sucks a bit of the cooling.
But like in a closed circuit, like having a tray below, no, yes.
Well, you only use a very little amount of cooling, but still it's kind of messy. And I got my hands on a little bit of like real like machine shop emulsion cooling stuff, and that helps a little bit, but it's still like not perfect in the end.
It's finicky.
Yeah.
I tried to cut carbon fiber once underwater because of the dust.
Because of the comments.
Because of the YouTube comments, yeah. So I decided, I cut it underwater. I didn't realise that carbon fiber is initially hydrophobic and floats.
Yeah.
So all of it floated to the top, and then there's like a layer of obviously wet dust and then dry dust on top. So I might as well just cut it, above water.
Dry,
It was. So I had to keep like pressing it underneath the water to try and dampen it out. Hold my breath. It was a bit sketchy, but
I actually I only machined carbon fiber once, where a part of my tricopter was broken, but I did that outside, and I kind of put the CNC router in my garden, put everything in place, hit the start button, and just went 10 meters away
on a windy day.
But you can, if you are, for example, cutting a rod, a carbon fiber rod, you can just spray it with oil. Yeah. Spray the bandsaw with oil, the saw with oil, and spray the part with oil. And all the particles are going to stick to the oil.
Yeah. I don't really know if carbon fiber is worse than glass fibers.
I think they are there.
Kind of
I think they're both
equally
very
nasty.
Similar. It's the sharp bits.
It's
not
but with silica, for example, the body can absorb silica, but it cannot absorb fiberglass.
Okay.
So it stays there forever.
Yeah.
I don't know about carbon fiber, but with carbon fiber with resin, I probably stay there forever.
It's probably the same. Yeah. It's really interesting, but like CNC routing is just helping you sometimes to make designs more rigid and more. They can put more load on it.
Yeah, we were talking yesterday. I'm designing a tank skateboard, and the first version is plastic. Everything is 3D printed because it's a very complicated design, and I want to see if everything fits and moves. But I'm pretty sure that I will have to step up to metal. Once I realize that it's working on the design, I will have to go metal for sure. Yeah.
I was at E3D near Oxford like 2 days ago, which was really interesting. And they have also a small machining shop, and they have one of these Tolmach like 4-axis CNC routers.
One of the nice ones.
Oh, one of the nice ones.
Yeah. You could put a finishing bit this thick and this big and just throw it into a big chunk of metal and everything goes away.
It's not one of the really expensive ones. I think it's around $10,000 or something like that. But I so much wanted to have one of those. But the thing is, my workshop is in the basement, so I wouldn't be able to get like a big CNC router and put it in my basement.
Dig a hole.
You have three-phase in your...
Yeah.
Then
my father is an electrician, so I have everything in my basement.
You have four then.
I have 4-phase. Yeah. So that's not a problem. I probably will buy a small, like a mini lathe for my basement.
I'm dying to buy one.
Yeah.
Like even if it's one of those shitty Chinese plastic ones that
just to make spaces.
Metal spaces. Yeah. Metal spaces are really useful.
The guys from E3D told me they have one of these really, really small Proxon
lathes. Yeah.
Proxon lathes, and they just use it to do really tiny stuff.
Parts. Yeah.
Tiny
you
parts.
Can get like the watchmaker type lathes. They're quite small. I think,
And this one is actually not that expensive.
No, it's
Say
not.
if you bolt it down on a table or something like that, it's kind of rigid, and if you don't take really deep cuts,
Yeah.
you can do a lot of things with it.
Yeah. Have you seen this guy? I'm trying to remember he does metal work with lathes and small things. Like, it's a really funny guy. Something Tony.
This old Tony.
This old Tony, yeah, something Tony. And he explained why what is one of those Chinese lathes good for.
Yeah.
He says as long as you can do anything wood, you can do almost anything aluminium, as long as you don't go steel.
Yeah.
And don't go very rough on aluminium.
Yeah.
You can do almost anything with it.
But the thing, at least nowadays, is or this is one of the good things, is that carbon, like milling carbide milling bits and inserts for the lathe are really cheap from China, and they're good.
Yeah.
I'm always using
most of them.
Most of them.
Because you had your fair share of experience with.
I bought some Chinese cutting bits for my CNC router.
Okay.
And I bought from quite a few different places, and none of them really did a good job. And then I bought two quite expensive ones from England.
Okay.
They're like £22 a bit. It's expensive, but they last me forever.
Okay.
They just keep cutting.
Unless you smash it against the parts.
Yeah.
I did have it once where I was adjusting the Z-axis homing height, and I accidentally held the button too long, and it just went snapped a bit. And, yeah, it's a brand new bit as well.
Yeah, it's 22 pounds gone.
Yeah.
Well, in the past, I had the problem. I started using like normal high-speed steel bits for cutting wood.
Yeah.
But the thing with high-speed steel is, as soon as it gets hot once, they're done.
It's done.
So at that point,
they
I
become
started.
soft and
They become soft
dull.
and dull. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but yeah, maybe to sum this up, 3D printing is a really nice technology, but sometimes it's just worth to go like the extra step, do a couple of parts that are maybe not too complex with a CNC router, and then the sum of both can give you a really good result in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to buy a TIG welder though.
Yeah.
To weld aluminium.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but that's kind of another skill, another level of skill. Right there.
Have you watched the latest This Old Tony video where he explains TIG welding of aluminum?
No.
We'll go watch it. It's so mesmerizing. That's probably the point when you really say, okay, it's now worth buying one of these.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. Yeah, all right. It's already 10 o'clock in the morning. Our session are going to start quite soon. It's a bit of a shorter podcast today than you guys are probably used to, but I hope you still enjoyed it. Thank you guys very much for joining me this morning, even though we kind of had a beer or two yesterday. Yeah, and thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions, just drop them below or tweet it to us at the Meltzone. And I hope to see you guys in the next one, or I hope that you are here to listen in the next one. All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.